Okay, so let's just start our lesson. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we've covered lesson 1 and 2 last class. Do you have any questions?
No from me.
Okay, no questions? If you find it very difficult to switch on your webcam, you can always answer using the chat box. Okay, so right, so please use the chat box to reply so that I know that you are still with this class. Okay, for Azima and Lokman, okay, I do expect you to answer at the chat box since you're not on with your webcam. So Ami, are you with us? Okay. All right. So Ami, can you introduce yourself and tell us your age, your current working status, how many years have you worked, if you have ever worked before? Okay.
Okay. My name is Amir Hamzah. IIA. My age is 23. I am not working right now, but my working experience is, if you count internship, means almost 1 year. And I have also do some part time.
Okay, what is your area, your background?
Sorry, my background.
Yes, your major.
I studied diploma in computer science and Bachelor of Information Technology in business computing.
In UiTM.
Yes,
Okay.
both diploma and degree.
I see. Okay, all right. So we need to start having groups. Okay, we need to start having groups. I don't know how many will still enter after this, but I think the registration has closed. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So there should be about 8 of you. Therefore, we may have only 2 groups, each 4 people. Okay. All right. And okay, there has been a change. There's been a change in the schedule for the guest lecture. So Mr. Hanapi is going to join us on the 27th of November, the week before you go off for your semester break. Okay. All right. Okay. So it means that the week before that, I'm not sure on the 14th, which is the Deepavali. Are we still having class during that time? Are we still having class? Because we may need a session for me to teach you how to install and navigate the SAP HANA. All right. Which means that maybe it won't be such a long session. Maybe on the 14th we can have a short session, or I could try to give you a video for you to to try. Okay, so we'll see how. Because with the video you may not get to ask me questions, and then the following week, the following Saturday, you will already be assessed, yeah, for your assignment. So yeah. So for Amir's information, okay, we have 2 assignments based on our guest lecture, okay, based on our guest lecture, and which is on the 21st, and then another one will be, I think, at the end of the semester, which is January, if I'm not mistaken. So there'll be 2 sessions, yeah, 2 sessions, and you will have hands-on, and you will be evaluated based on how you answer the questions then. Okay, and there's also the group project. So can you find your own groups, since I think all of you are quite at par. The only difference is that you are from different computing or non-computing background. So it will be good if you are able to find a mix, yeah, a mix of computing and non-computing people. Okay, are you still with us, Lokman? Okay, so for Amir and Lokman, who's not on their webcam, I expect you to reply at the chat box whenever I ask questions, to indicate that you are still with us. You may have problems with your with your data, okay? So if I don't see you replying actively at the chat for about half an hour, I will consider you to be absent for today. All right? It goes the same with you girls. If let's say you find your data having some problem, okay, you can switch off your webcam, and then you need to be active at the chat box. I'm not sure, Lokman, are we still going for Deepavali, since none of us are celebrating? So I really don't know. If you know, I'll try to see if I can get to do the video before the Deepavali, and then after that well because yours is on Wednesday, so we shouldn't have a problem, I guess. But then no, that week we will have on a Saturday, right? So the week before that, we can still have a session, because you're our Wednesday people. Okay? Yeah, I think it's on the 14th, kan? Is it Deepavali on the 14th, right? But 14th is on a Saturday, so your class is on Wednesday, yes? So we can actually have a session. So 14 kan? Jadi okay, so depends, kalau kita, if we really need to have the session, we'll have the session, because I will have to do a video for the Saturday people also. All right? Okay, so let's get on with the third, okay, with the third lesson. Yeah, with the third lesson. Okay, for the third lesson today, we are going into the first phase of the cycle of the data analytics of the CRISP-GM cycle. So do you still remember the first phase? What is the important activities in the first phase of the CRISP-DM?
Business understanding.
Business understanding. So what are the important activities there?
Define what problem we need to solve.
That's right. Okay. And what other things? Set objectives, yes. Okay, lagi. What else? Okay, business goals and problem that management wants to address, correct? Okay. Produce project plan. Okay, lagi.
Identify problems.
Sorry?
Identify problems.
Identify problems, correct. Define the analytic approach to solving the problem. If you can, at that point. Semua? Approach determines data requirements, which is going to be in the next phase. Think of the problem that need to be solved, correct? There's one more thing. Not yet, okay. Analyze what data is available, not yet. It's too early.
Discover chances to improve our business.
If we can, at that. How about asking questions? So you must have an analytical question by the end of that phase. Okay, you need to have an analytical question at the end of that phase. All right. So because everything that is related to data analytics needs is actually triggered by a question. So question can be like, for example, Do people like Trump, for example? As simple as that. Okay. And then, like for example, what is the what is the price of avocado in 2021? You know, okay. And then, who are the survivors of Titanic? All right. So when you have a question there, you're going to do all what it takes to answer that question. So all of the tasks, all of the processes that you're going to do, okay, is to answer that question. So for example, fraud detection, right? That is a problem. But what is the question that we want to get answered? It could be, who are the fraudsters? We want to know who are the fraudsters. Can we detect fraudsters? Okay, who will be the churners? Right, churning is a term where describing people that do not finish off their contract. Okay, they forfeit their contract, be it telecommunication or whatsoever. Is that clear? Are you clear with that? Which part of it that you're not clear, Ami? Since you just joined us, because this is very important, this CRISP GM, because it determines every phases that you need to know as a data scientist or a data analyst. Because if you don't know this, it'll be the same as not knowing Sdlc. Do you know what Sdlc is, Ami? Are you still with us? So what are the phases in Sdlc? Huh? Didn't you're from computer science, right? So you should know what Sdlc at the top of your head by now. A question in this phase. Well, it depends. If let's say you need to go and get information from your users, certain data, you may need to do that, but depends on what is it that you want to question, because usually questionnaire is more towards like a survey. Like a survey. So in what situation do you think you want to get from them? You can, but depends on the domain. Okay, depends on the domain. So if the domain from the questionnaire you can get answers that going to kind of like an auxiliary, or it can actually answer or direct you to the right data set or to the right problem, then that will be good. Okay, that would be good. Because sometimes you don't know the problem. Just like, for example, COVID, right? People are suddenly getting sick. So you may want to ask questions like, what are the symptoms that you're feeling? Okay. Before this, it was just like coughing, sniffles, hidung sumbat, and then kind of like flu. But then now, with this new mutation, it is asymptomatic, right? There's no symptoms. People can look very, very healthy, but they are, COVID positive. And then, for example, and then they got to know that with this new mutation, it is more infectious. Okay, it's more infectious, and then people cannot smell things. They have a decrease in smelling ability. So you see, if they don't give out questionnaires, they don't ask questions, what are your symptoms, all right? So you will, you won't be able to know that there is this new symptom. Okay, right? So you may need to do that during this phase so that you can identify what is the problem. Okay, so once you know, okay, people have symptoms, and then you want to start collecting data. That's why there's the My Sejahtera, right? To know actually who are the contacts, the demographics. That's why they can say most of the people that got ill and died, okay, and died is because they are already having health problems. But the ones that do not, they are more likely to recover. Okay, and then I read a few days ago, there's this the result of research shows that if you are having A or AB type blood type, you are more susceptible to getting COVID and dying from it compared to somebody who is having a blood type of O and B. They are more likely to survive. They may get it, everybody can get it because it's infectious, but they are more likely to survive. So how do they get this result? Okay, by doing analytics on data, a lot of data, okay, that they collect. All right, okay, so you will have to be doing something quite like this. You want to be able to predict if this person is so and so, okay, then you are more likely to, you are of a higher risk. Just like if you take a look at My Sejahtera, yes, it shows that whether you are of a low risk or a high risk. Okay, if let's say you are within 1 kilometer of somebody who has contracted COVID, then it's sort of like you go up the possibility of getting it. Okay, you're getting riskier. Okay, right. So, any questions? Right. Okay, yes, Amir. Sdlc is those phases. So if you want to complete, okay, you want to complete a system, you need to go through those phases. So last week we have gone through the so-called life cycle, okay, or rather the methodology for data analytics, which you missed, unfortunately. Okay, so go to the recorded a lecture here in MS Teams and try to learn from there. Okay? Okay, Ami? All right. Okay, so once you've done the business, okay, the business identification, only then you can know what data that you need to have, just like this COVID. Okay, you don't need data about the person's hobby, right? We don't need to know their hobby. They may be playing PS2 at home or whatever. Okay, does it matter? Okay, PlayStation, nothing to do with that. But we want to know data that's useful. Okay, like for example, age, gender, health condition. Where are they working? Are they exposed to working outside, or they can actually stay inside? Okay, so that's more important. So when you do your data collection, okay, you have to pick and choose what are the important information. Okay, so when we talk about COVID, the analytical question here would be what, do you think? Well, that's just like, you have to create a proper question. For example, just now, do people like Trump? Okay, so now you have to give a proper question.
Who is likely to be infected?
Who is more likely to?
Be infected.
Sorry?
To be infected.
To be infected. Yes, correct. Okay, that's one question. Do you have any, how about other questions that we want to know about this COVID thingy? What are the symptoms of this virus? Okay, when we say about what are the symptoms of this virus, okay, is that analytics enough, or is that really descriptive or statistics, or just a questionnaire kind of a question? Which will help you to actually go to the analytics. Okay, are asymptomatic patients less contagious? That's an analytical question, right? But how often and after what activities should you clean your hands? That's more towards like a survey question. Okay, so another question is usually when you want to predict something. There's something that you want to predict. Okay, all right, you want to predict. So let's say for example, like are asymptomatic patients less contagious? Okay, you want to predict if these people are contagious or not. Some people can be contagious, some people are not contagious. So you kind of like want to predict it. Okay, so it could be analytical, but at the descriptive level. So remember, analytics have descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. Okay, so usually when we talk about data analytics at present, we are more interested in the predictive part, because the descriptive part is going to help with the predictive part. So the descriptive is more like statistics. Okay, more to a statistics of answering straightforward question, because it is describing something. Okay, describing the situation. But predicting is something that we do not know, and we want to be able to forecast. Okay. What is the recovery time for the COVID-19 disease? So what is the recovery time for the COVID-19 disease? Is that more descriptive or predictive? Why do you say it's predictive, Ami?
Descriptive and predictive means again. Likely to happen. When akan jadi. Predictive, descriptive is in cases that is what are the
It's not all patients have similar recovery time. So are you predicting it?
How about what about cases like the patient infected patients being what's the cases? What are the cases?
Sorry, Dr. Sophie is asking me some questions. So need to reply to her about some of the students, new students. There's some confusion over who's supposed to attend which session, which class. It's Saturday or Wednesday. I basically don't know. Okay. So, what is the recovery time for the? Okay, because not all patients have similar recovery time. So is that predicting? What about the others? What do you think? So, any ideas? Descriptive, and Sima says predictive. The background health issue, recovery time. Okay, interesting. It means that we're starting to start thinking down the line as a data analyst. Okay, that's good. Okay, so if let's say you want to if you say I want to predict the recovery time of patients. Okay, you want to predict the recovery time of patients. It can also be done. Okay, it can also be predictive. Okay, because as long as you have enough data, historical data, all right, for that is very specific, that can tell you, okay, that can tell you whether a person, is going to recover within maybe a few days or a few months, like that. Okay, because let's say, for example, somebody who is 70 years old with diabetic, okay, it may be we can be able to, because of historical data, we can predict, okay, the recovery time of these people, okay, and you may usually, right, see a longer recovery time compared to younger people, right? Okay, so it can be predictive. That's why it's important that you come up with the right question, the right data analytical question, or the analytical question. How you change it up, and the focus of what you want to get is going to really change, the nature of it. Something can be descriptive if you make it descriptive, but when you want to predict it, okay, you change it, okay, to have an aim that is more predictive, then it can be predictive, because you're the data scientist. What is it that you want to know? What is the business problem that you want to get solved? Okay. Is that okay? So it may be that in the early stage, what you're doing is that you're just collecting data about people and recovery, people's demographic data, okay? And then when is it that they recover? You're just collecting data, but then that data is going to be helpful, okay, for your prediction later. So that's why, okay, if you're scraping data now, you don't really know what is it, what kind of analytical questions you want to answer in the future. But it may be that it will be useful in the future. Okay, all right. So design your analytical question to be what you want to get solved. Okay, because by knowing the recovery time, for example, okay, by knowing the recovery time, you can predict, okay, what is the use of knowing, the recovery time, being able to predict the recovery time? What is the usefulness of it? How long a patient have to stay in the hospital, correct? Okay, that was what I was thinking. Because, okay, we know that hospital beds are limited. Okay, hospital beds are limited. Alright, so if more and more people are taking longer and longer time to recover, we may not have enough equipment, especially when they have to, use that ventilator or something for the lungs. Right, those things are limited. Sometimes some hospitals have only about 5 or 3. So if you are able to predict, okay, the recovery rate of people, then you can actually, okay, be able to predict or to make a decision whether you need to have more of those equipments or not. So this is already a data-driven decision making. Do you see the point? Okay, with just answering one question, you are helping a big decision because these equipments are expensive. Okay, they are expensive. It's not cheap to actually get one of those ventilators as well as beds. Okay, and then also the staff, people who have to take care of this patient. Okay. So what else? What kind of other information do you think that, if you can find out, will be helpful? Okay, predict the next cluster location based on the infected person's footprint. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that also can be very helpful. Okay, all right. What else? Let's do some brainstorming here. What else? Predict the close contact of positive COVID patient. What kind of data do you think can be helpful to predict the close contact of positive COVID patient? Yeah, but how? What kind of data do you need? Okay, that's one, data about the place that we have visited. And then my Sejahtera data location, okay. He's been in relatives, yeah. Lagi? Anyone he contacted from the past 1 month, yes, okay. That's right. Ada lagi? People he or she met face to face. Tu susah sikit kan, that part tu. Because kalau My Sejahtera ke, it's fine, okay. We can trace the data itself, kan, the data itself too, because it is recorded. Okay, so we can assume people who were in Tesco sekian-sekian hari bulan is going to get infected because this person is infected. But when the person met face to face too, it's not recorded anywhere unless the person cakap, kan, beritahu. Okay, so it could be that the person met face to face tapi tak ada recorded anywhere. Right, so will depend on the patient remembering lah, remembers who have I met, you know. Okay, so now we are actually going on to the second phase where you start data understanding, you know, identifying your data, because tadi, you know, just now we have identified the business problem, we have identified, you know, the analytical question. Okay, now we're moving towards the data understanding of where is it that you want to get your data, and then also the weakness and the strength of your data. So let's say macam this one kan, My Sejahtera, you're able to get all those information. So what is the weakness there that could happen? You know, what is the weakness? Weakness of the data, okay, that we have. Correct, Azima. Okay, people not using the My Sejahtera. Okay, so it means that there's going to be people that we just couldn't capture, kan? Dia punya information dia. Okay, because they just don't scan. And then the ones yang apa tu, manual tu pun dia kadang conteng aja kan, nama dia bukannya betul pun. Alright, so that's the weakness of it. Maksudnya our analytics tu will not be apa tu, foolproof lah. There's going to be apa tu, some weaknesses there. Okay, alright. Okay, good. Any questions so far? Are you clear with phase number 1 and phase number 2? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go on to discussing about phase number 3, which is data preparation. So what is it from this case that we are having? Okay, this discussion. What kind of preparation do you think that we need to do? Are we getting clean data? What are the kinds of technical things that you as the data analyst need to do to make the data fit for analytics? Converting data into tabular format, removing or inferring missing values, and converting data to different types, correct? Okay, that is one thing, right? Lagi? Yes, removing duplicate values. Okay, that can actually happen. Lagi? Conversion of data to achieve a form that can help yield better results. Okay, that's basically what you're doing. Okay, by removing missing values. Okay, it's pretty much cleaning up. What else? What else needs to be done in this phase, especially for our case? Treat data inconsistencies. Okay. All right. Lagi? Privacy, since we might need to change the name to example patient 001. Do we need to do that in this case, in the COVID case? Because I think privacy is going to prevent, isn't it, from us really finding out. In other cases, like for example, banks, it may be good, okay, but in this, when it comes to medical, okay, it may not be very, it may be very important that we know who this person is, Oh, I see. So those people are really those who are the ones who are not registering my Sejahtera for privacy purposes are really putting themselves on the line for death, for getting ill, because it's like, you may get ill, you may have contact with somebody who is ill, and then you don't know, you see? Okay. Okay, what else? There's one more. There's one more. Unless you can think of something else other than what I'm thinking. There can be two more.
Finding more data?
Sorry?
Is in the phase finding more data?
Finding more data. Okay, that's also possible. Okay, but we're trying to finding more data that can help us to curb this, right? Okay, that's possible. Lagi.
Combining the data to make the data more useful.
This is what I've been hoping somebody answering. Okay, that is the data integration, right? Okay, so you need to integrate data, like for example, MySejahtera as well as yang dekat buku tu. Those manual data, you have to convert it, but okay, then you have to combine it with the MySejahtera. So you have like two different sources of data. Okay, so that is really cumbersome. Just take a look at, you know, how thick that book, that logbook is, and then how many for each shop, for each institution, organization. You have that, and you want to convert that into digital. Okay, so that's why we usually, computing people, would actually go like, aduh, you know, when there's so much manual data, because you can't process it fast enough. You have to have that people that will convert, and then what if that person had, you know, make a mistake, 1011111, you know, got extra one or less than one, you know, so you know, that is problem. Yeah, with Sri Lanka also, right? So it's like the combination, the integration of the data is really important. And if you want to make it more sophisticated, you may want to integrate with social media data. All right, so it could be that if, let's say, that person comes in and he or she is really critical and just couldn't speak, so where is it that you're going to get clues of the people that this person has met? So usually on social media, people will update. You know, this person is in Johor, this person is in here, was there, or something like that. With what? With who? Okay, so that can actually be helpful also. Okay, especially yang jenis kaki jalan tak kerti duduk rumah ni. I know it's stressful. I find it stressful too, but you know, for people's sake. Okay, very good. So that is the third phase. What's the next phase? Modeling. Yes. Okay. So this is where you're going to use machine learning algorithm. Okay, and start creating prediction model. All right, for you on your data set. Okay, and then you have to evaluate or validate whether this model that you have created is the best for that data set. Okay, so that is the next phase, which is evaluation. So during modeling, you need to use several different machine learning algorithms, naive Bayes, and then whatever that suits it. Okay, whatever that suits it, decision tree, KNN, yeah. Okay, and from there you need to do some tests to see, okay, which one performs the best. And that is the one that you're going to use during deployment. Okay, during deployment. Deployment here means that you implement the model, right? Put it into like a system or something, and then for every time that there is new data, you can just run the model, okay, that has been deployed, and come up with the result of the prediction. Okay, sebab yang before this, it was just like dalam lab lah, we're just testing, you know, understanding. Now when deployment, it can just run and you can get the prediction. Okay, so do you think we should stop dekat situ sahaja up to deployment? We should stop at deployment? Okay, so if let's say, okay, during March, okay, we have finished evaluating, okay, and then after that we deploy, right? Deploy is the last one, the last phase. Okay, after modeling we evaluate, Okay, after evaluating, we deploy because we've chosen the best machine learning algorithm or the best model. And then after the deployment, should we stop? Should we just stop? Okay, so if we were to stop at the deployment, okay, it would mean that we would have never detected asymptomatic, asymptomatic or mutation of the COVID. Because, we have only data that was historical. That was COVID back in March. It has a different symptom. Okay, but now the symptom is different. Okay, correct, Nabila. Okay, we update with more data for better prediction. Okay, because we have new data that needs to be, to be predicted. It is feeding new data. So in other words, our model has to be revised. We need to retune, or retrain our model. All right, we need to retrain our model because the model was based on COVID data or COVID symptoms back in March, where people have flu, people have cough, okay? But now the symptoms are different. So if we were to still use, the model that we created for March COVID symptoms, we will never be able to predict people getting ill. So COVID is going to spread and just suddenly kill off people. Tiba-tiba je jatuh mati, because we're not able to detect it. Because dalam kita punya data set tu, it was historical data based on COVID in March with different symptoms. Is that clear? Okay, if you're not clear, you want me to repeat, or to explain in a different way, please tell. Yeah, because this is very, very important that you understand the phases, all right, and what each phases do, because they are very important. Okay, so that's why if you take a look at the CRISP GM figure or diagram, you see that blue circle outside, and it is never ending. There's no end to it. It means that you will always need to update or retrain your model from time to time. And in other words, you need to collect more data continuously, because you can never tell when is it that you suddenly get data that's different from the previous one. In other words, you don't know when you're going to get new cases, new unique cases. Okay, new unique cases. Do you need a toilet break? Unfortunately, I don't think that you can, pull data from my Sejahtera or MOH because of privacy issues that you mentioned just now. It's private to the people, to the Malaysian, but it cannot be private to the kerajaan lah, to the government, because they need data to identify who you are to stop the spreading. Okay. That's why some organizations, they are also collecting their own data, because they are worried, they are worried that it could be some of their staff suddenly contracted it somewhere and then spread when they go to the office, work from office. So tomorrow, no more working from office for Selangor, right? Everybody stay at home. We save on fuel, but we spend on deliveries. Okay, this is really bad now. It's very infectious. That's it. I don't know if you received about Proton, Proton stuff, 49 of them. already contracted. That is like so many. Eesh. Okay. May we be protected. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Okay. Do you need a break? 5 minutes break?
Doctor, I have a question.
Okay.
So during the deployment, suddenly we detect another business problem. So we have to we have to continue on the deployment, or we have to go back on the business understanding.
Okay. If let's say it is a very serious problem, you should always abandon that and go to the business understanding again. Because it means that the whole cycle that you went through was actually wrong. Okay, so that's why every time that you go to the next phase, you always have to check again your business understanding, the analytical question. You know, you can actually get distracted somehow. Okay, because you're so focused on the data collection, probably on the data cleaning, for example, until you kind of like, hey, what was it, the analytical question that I want to get answered? Or maybe during the time you found out something that you didn't discover earlier. So it shows that, oh, it's actually not fraud, it's actually a different kind of business problem. So you might as well, you know, abandon everything and go back to the business understanding. Okay, it can be costly. We don't really want that. That's why we go through the phases very carefully. We don't want to kind of like, you know, all those effort, throw it down the drain. Don't want that. Okay. So if anybody wishes to go for a toilet break, you can just, you know, switch off your webcam and go if you if you segan or something. Nanti kan pengsan pula tiba-tiba tahan nature call. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Lokman, does the government actually use the public data that is provided by the... Oh yes, you can. As long as you can actually get to download it, okay. If it's publicly available, then it is, all right. But like my Sejahtera, it's not publicly available, right? So there's no choice to that one. Okay. So any questions? Anything you want to get confirmation about, maybe? Okay. Maybe you don't have any questions, but you want to get confirmation of something, okay, of your understanding. You can do so. Okay, good. Okay, so let's do some exercises by looking at other use cases. Okay, common use cases that's usually used in data analytics. So if you go to lesson number 3, slides for lesson number 3. Okay, so there are a few use cases there. Okay, several use cases. So have a look at what Nipa Basu mentioned. Okay, analytics begin and end with asking the right questions, see, and having the right data, right? If the data is wrong, the model won't perform. So always remember that. So you know, as long as you ask the right questions, you are, you know, driving the so-called users or the so-called session to closer to what you want or what you need. So the skill here is to ask the right questions. So it requires experience, okay, experience. Sometimes when you ask, you realize, oops, I shouldn't have asked that question, or that question is not relevant, okay. So the more questions that you know that you practice, okay, the better that you're going to get at it. So remember, the aim of asking questions is to let you be able to get closer to the data that you need. Okay, you ask the right questions so that you know what data is it that you need. You ask the right questions so that you know what is the problem. So once you know the problem, you can find out what data you need to solve that problem. Okay, data analysts are just like CSI, okay, investigators, but instead of investigating based on, you know, blood and blood samples and this and that, you are investigating based on data alone. All right, so the more data that you have, okay, the better. So speaking about more data, okay, you don't only need a lot of data of the same type, but you want to get data, a lot of data for different types or different cases. Okay, so if let's say I have only data about cookies, for example, so all I have is information about cookies, but I wouldn't do anything other than that. But what I want to know, if I were to do analytics on, let's say, you know, desserts, okay, so there's a lot of different sort of desserts, right? Cookies, candies, cakes. So if I were to have only information or data on cookies, you know, my analytics is going to be very good in predicting cookies, for example, but it's not going to be able to predict cakes. So what you want to have is to have a lot of data of different cases. You want to have a lot of data on cookies, a lot of data on cakes, a lot of data on candies, so that your model knows, okay, or be able to differentiate between cookies, candies, and cakes. Okay, because if let's say you ada sikit je data on cookies, you ada lebih banyak data on candies and cakes, so your model will be able to identify, you know, cakes and candies je lah. It doesn't really able to identify cookies because the data is not enough. Alright, is that clear? Lokman, Amin, are you still with us? Okay. Alright. So let's take a look at the slides, yeah, again. So case 1 is about customer intelligence. So inside UFuture MS Teams here, there is this PDF file called named Customer Intelligence White Paper PDF file. Okay, so I'm going to give you up to 5 o'clock to read, go through this paper, and I want you to start thinking about, you know, the whole cycle of CRISP-VM, okay, from the information or from the case study in that paper. Okay, and we're going to discuss, but each and one of you are going to give your take, your understanding about customer intelligence from that paper, how it is going to map over to the CRISP-DM, and what are the important information that you think, you know, your takeaways from that paper. Okay, so up to 5, and then we'll have a 1-hour discussion, okay, up to 6 p.m. All right. Okay, Assalamualaikum. All right. So have you finished reading it? Okay. So it's Nadia. Okay, Azima. Amir, are you still with us? Okay. Najwa? Nabila? Okay. All right. So let's do a round robin. Okay. We start off with one person, and then I'll call on the next person to continue what the first person has described. Okay, so one person, let's say one cycle, one phase. Okay, all right. So let's see. Let's have based on the people's positioning on my screen. Okay. All right. So on my left, I have Najwa. Okay. So can you start off with the business understanding? What do you understand? Okay. From the case study.
Okay, for business understanding from this article, we can know the researcher want to find the customer level of web behavior data with other cross-channel customer. That means the researcher wants to know the customer like to use traditional the web behavior or online channel to get their shopping or any else.
Okay.
That's all.
So what's the analytical question there?
That is the objective question or what? That's it.
What is the analytical question that you want to get answered? Anybody would like to help Najwa? What is the analytical question there?
Can I try?
Yeah, sure.
To study how to study the customer buying pattern.
What customer buying pattern, right? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else has a different Opinion? Lokman says, how does customer do their decision making? What else?
To know the customer's intention, preferences.
Preferences, okay.
Do
Alright.
customer satisfied with our product?
Customer what?
Satisfied with our product.
Customer satisfaction, okay.
Yes.
Some more?
If the customer go to the search engine, what kind of detail that customer search?
Customer search, right? Okay. All right. So basically, in the case study, okay, there's something called 360, right? 360. It means that it is other in AKA, you want to know everything about your customer. What is it that your customer prefers? What are their buying preferences? What do they like? Okay. Okay, and how do they make the decision? Okay, how do they make the decision? Because once you know how what a customer likes, and then how he or she makes the decision, you can actually intercept. You can actually intercept, and then you kind of like guide the customer, okay, and feed the customer with information that they need. So you are actually pulling the customer towards buying your product. Okay, so Lokman here says to look for pattern on how they do shopping from the search, review, specs until checkout. Yes, that's right. Okay, so that is the method, okay, that we want to. The aim or the analytical question is that, okay, what kind of what are the preference of the customer, okay, the buying preference, because when you talk about customer, we are interested in what they want to buy, okay, because it's enterprise data analytics, right? It's dollars and cents, ringgit and cent, okay, we want to make money. So when you talk about customer intelligence, we are intelligent enough to know what is it, what the customer wants. So we want to know everything about the customer. That's why it is 360. Okay, their habits, their preferences, all right, and the way that they make decision. Okay, so that's clear with the business understanding. Amir, are you still with us? Okay, are you all right with are you okay so far? Do you understand the case study? Okay, all right. So let's go to the next phase, which is data understanding. Okay, data understanding. So let's see who's on my on my screen. Let's go counterclockwise. Okay. Okay, next would be Nabila.
In the data understanding phase, like we have to know what data is available. So like in the research, they want to integrate the web information with the data within the organization, so that they can have 360 insights into the customers' behavior.
Okay. Anybody would like to add here? What kind of data? Okay. Because this is where you start thinking about what kind of specifically the data, right? Your data understanding. So what kind of data that is being discussed in the case study?
Data for mobile applications and social media.
What else? What about the others who would like to add?
customer buying history, their chart.
Yes, correct. Lagi? Customer search history, I missed it. Okay. Lagi? Purchases, videos, search engine stuff. Lagi? Okay, data from kiosk. Lagi? Product views. Comments, yes. Best shopping basket additions, yes. Some more? Product review. So how is it that you can get data about how the customer make a decision? What is the data that can contribute to you learning how a customer make a decision? Based on people review on the item, based on customers buying history and reviews. Is that really going to contribute to how the customer makes a decision? That's like the pin, you know, the sort of like the underpins. You know, the underpins, the point, the data point. Discounts offered. Does it help to know, you know, a particular customer's decision-making pattern? You know, how a customer specifically makes the decision, his or her decision. What is that data that you need to know?
Customer checkout history.
Customer checkout history. Yes, correct. Yes, because sometimes a person add to the basket, but then they didn't check out. So there could be something in between that actually, you know, caused the person to make a different decision. Yes? Do you understand? I make that all the time, you know, I add to shopping cart and then I leave it there because I kind of like go over and find other things, you know, saying that, oh, maybe I can get a bargain somewhere, somewhere else. So the checkout history, okay, is going to help you identify, okay, understand how the customer makes a decision. Also, another thing, what is that? The similar item but cheaper. But what is that other data that you need, okay, to know, okay, to help you know how the customer makes his or her decision? Customers' interaction such as likes, comments, does that help?
Customer feedback.
Customer feedback of?
The item they have buy.
Okay, but those are a different product, right? Or item that has been bought. But this is like a future one. So how about the navigation, the person's navigation on the website or the browser? So maybe like myself, I add something to the cart and then I go off opening another window, browser window, and then doing a search there. And then I realize, oh, it's not a good bargain. And then I just leave. So I'm a researcher. I'm a kind of somebody who research. Okay. So if somebody can actually track my navigation, meaning that whenever I add something and then I go off and search, okay, then that person can actually bomb me with advertisements of the same product. You perasan tak, sometimes when you search on Lazada, after that when you browse, you suddenly get advertisements about that product again and again and again. It's like it's haunting you, it's following you everywhere that you go. Okay, right? So also things, also like my Facebook, okay, maybe I go to my Facebook first and then search here and there. There are other people also that they add to the cart and then they go, and if let's say you pop up with the next bargain, with the best bargain, they will immediately buy. That one doesn't do. That was is a bargain hunter. They're not a researcher. Because for me, even though I see a pop-up of a bargain, I still go and research again. I still finish off my research. So you have to identify, okay, how is it that your customer make decisions? Are they impulsive? Meaning that whenever they see a good bargain, they just buy. Or are they influential? Meaning that if they see, for example, Siti Nurhaliza buying the same thing, okay, Siti buy, I buy, Siti jump, I jump. All right. Or somebody who doesn't care about Siti ke, about bargain ke, but really want to buy the product because of the product itself. So they go off and search for factual information. Okay, do you understand? Okay, so for everything that you want to know or you want to analyze or do analytics on, like for example, the decision, how customers make the decision, okay, the buying preferences, you have to know what data that you need, okay, in order to get that questions answered. Is that okay? Okay, so that's what data understanding does. When you're at the data understanding phase, you need to understand, okay, I have this problem. Now, what kind of data do I need? Where can I get the data? Okay, so does the data help me to solve my problem? Okay, so you wouldn't want to collect data that's not going to solve your problem. That is a very much waste of time. Yeah. Okay, so can we go on to the third phase? Okay, next in my screen is Nadia. So the next phase is data preparation. So what kind of data preparation do you think that that needs to be done based on the case study?
I haven't finished reading, but from what I can see, in the response modeling, they did they did calculate score for
it calculates score for the users so that they can find the targeted customer.
So what kind of data preparation that you need to do to make the data fit for analytics?
How often does a person view our products, log into our websites?
Okay, so that would be still in data understanding, because you log, the logging in, okay, those are the kind of data that you want to collect. Yes? Okay, so what kind of data cleaning up that you need to do you think, based on the data that you have identified?
Exclude people that haven't been, that look not interested in our products.
Probably, yeah. Okay, some more?
Prioritize customer with more interest.
Prioritizing. How is that going to help with your analytics?
Based on the data, how many times they log into our websites.
So what kind of priority? The priority is based on what? Priority of loyal customer?
Yeah. Customer always buy.
A frequent customer, so they are loyal customers. Okay, so you can actually add an extra data there, an extra column, identifying that, some customers are loyal customers. Okay, what else? How about the others? Can you add? Do you have any idea what kind of other data preparations that you can do or need to do for this case?
To identify the customer current interest based on their web browsing.
Okay, that is in data, that is data understanding, right? So now we're moving on to data preparation. So data preparation is also known as data cleaning, to make the data fit for analytics. So we already know all of the data that we need. Okay, we already know everything. We have every data that we need. Now what do we do with the data so that we can use it in our modeling?
This combining the
Yes.
Combining the customer buying history and their web browsing search, so we can identify their current interest.
Okay, that's right. Integration or combining, right? Okay, good. Nabila, Amir, okay. Alright, so yes, you have to start integrating, yes? So now we are playing with the data physically. So we integrate the data, we join it, okay, we use SQL joins, right? We do merging, okay, right? So, but when you do the combination, you need to know specifically which data you want to combine with what. Okay, alright, like Fatiha, the access, okay, specifically what kind of data that needs to be combined, okay, or to be integrated, so that it will actually give you the information that you need. Okay, alright. And Amir says integrate data from website and mobile app. Okay, all right, that's also something. Okay, and then Nabila says combining past purchase history with recent data. Yes, correct. Okay, okay. So apart from that, you should also clean up the data for typos. Okay, if there's any typos. So this is where you want to clean the data. Okay, you want to clean the data and make it fit for analytics. Okay, next, what do you do is to do modeling, yes? Okay, so with modeling, you choose the best machine learning algorithm, okay, and you do the evaluation. And finally, the deployment. Okay, I'd like to ask Azima, what is the takeaway message that you can find here? That's something that you never knew before and you think is quite important. Well, important to you.
Okay, there is, based on what I've read, there is attrition modeling and also response modeling that this researcher use to to know the patterns of the buyers, so that the customers they want to study the customers of the risk of not cancelling the products at the checkout thingy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the attrition modeling, okay, attrition means to not complete something. To lari lah, lari. Macam like me, you know, I put in the shopping cart and then I lari. I didn't finish the transaction. Okay, so that is what attrition means. Okay, good. All right, next, Lokman. What is your takeaway, any takeaway message that you can see here? For either modeling and evaluation and deployment, because you haven't learned all those, so we lump it together. Using this model to show what the customer wants based on their search pattern, order added to cart, okay, checkout and reviews. Okay, so you're going to use the model, right? Okay, anything else to add to that? Some customer like me always will see similar product to see cheaper items. Okay, right? So, okay, so that's analyzing or modeling the search pattern or the buying. Okay, the buying decision. Okay, that's the buying decision. Okay, let's move on to Zulaika. Okay, what is the takeaway message that you found in the case study?
For me, all I can think is about data web scraping and text analytics. I think text analytics or text analysis.
So how is text analytics is being used here, do you think?
Sorry?
How do you think text analytics is being used here?
By looking at their comments.
Interesting. And what kind of analytical question do you want to get answered there?
Did they satisfy with our product?
Sorry?
Did they satisfy with our product?
Ah. Or there was like an or and waiting for the after the or.
Or their rating.
Their
rating towards our product, yeah.
Okay, so where would that fall? I mean, in this case study, how can that help? Where is that going to fall in?
Maybe we can see and analyze their rating that we get from website or something like online purchasing website.
But then how does that help in this case study? Is it at the understanding customers' buying preference, or is it at the knowing how customers make decisions? Yes, back to the analytical questions again that we have constructed. Which one?
I think the first one.
Which one?
The business understanding.
Yes, it's the business understanding. But then in which of the particular business or analytical question that information is going to help? Because just now we had a few analytical questions, right? The first one was the preference, the buying preference, yes, of customers. Okay, we want to know what is the buying preference of customers, and then we had also how customers make their decision. Yes. Okay, so when you see something or kind of data, you need to know where which analytical question that is going to be answered with that data. So just now when you mentioned, okay, text analytics based on comments, right? Based on comments as well as ratings. So that will actually help in I think it is based, it will help in knowing how the customer makes a decision. Because current customers, this customer could be somebody who is influenced by the reviews and the comments of others. They're not researching on their own. They're just too lazy or just not interested in researching on their own. But instead, they rely their decision based on the comments and ratings of others. So if they see, oh, there's a lot of comments, okay, positive comments, and then very high ratings, buy je lah. It should be good, regardless of whether there are actually other better products out there. Okay, contohnya you want to purchase a vacuum cleaner. One is using Cyclone. Another one is using, I don't know, bag or something. Okay, so the Cyclone is always much faster and better suction. If you had read up, okay, did research, you would know. But for somebody who doesn't want to do research, they just go for the best comments. It could be comments on, older technology, yes, not the latest one, because the latest one usually people don't know. Do you understand?
Right.
Okay, so when you see a data point, you need to know, in which data and analytical question that it's going to help solve. That is always the loose end when it comes to data analyst. They just think of, okay, this data, that data, this data, but which analytical question is it going to solve? And you have to be very clear. Okay, all right? Okay, so next, Ami. So what takeaway message have you found from the case study? Ami, are you still with us? We're all waiting for you. Show some indication that you are still alive. Okay. Recency, frequency, and monetary value metrics to identify and understand customer behavior. Okay. All right. So what's with the recency, frequency? Why is that interesting to you? That's when we have been talking about the customer's order history, what they usually buy, and the price range they pay for the product. Efficiency, frequency, and okay, so when Ami mentioned about this matrix, right? Okay, so this matrix is the cornerstone or the important matrix or measurement for you to measure whether your model is going to answer the analytical question well or not. Okay, so if you choose the wrong matrix, you're going to get the wrong evaluation. So contohnya, okay, you want to measure some, like for example, like for me, okay, I need to lose weight. Okay, I need to lose weight. But the thing is that, okay, if I were to only, my doctor says, if I were to only measure my weight based on kilograms, but my inches are not getting smaller, meaning my stomach is not getting smaller, my thighs are not getting smaller, it means that I am actually just losing water and not really losing fat. Okay, so because I'm 45, so my doctor says that I need to get healthier. Okay, I need to get healthier. All right, so if I were to base my measurement on only weight, as in kilograms, I could be misleading myself. I'm not getting any healthier. But instead, if I were to make sure or to measure based on my stomach getting smaller, my waist getting smaller, my thigh getting smaller, it means that I am actually losing weight. So the point here that I'm making is that, okay, the kind of measurement that you choose is really important in data analytics. You wouldn't want to measure something wrongly using the wrong measurement. It will kind of like take you somewhere else, This is what you want to do, but you salah, you salah measure, you become going another way, just like me and my weight. Okay, my health. I need to be losing inches instead of focusing on only losing weight, the kilograms, because that's just water. Is that clear? Okay. And finally, Tia, what is your takeaway message?
Okay, the company have the ability to transform the data they have about the customer and analyze it so that they can serve their customer better.
Okay, that's interesting. Correct. Okay, so the company is responsible to do the transformation of the data. Okay, to serve the customers better. Okay, so some more. I'll add some more. Take home message. One thing is also about the privacy. Okay, data privacy. So that's very important. So unlike COVID, where you don't need to really trace who is the one that's sick, okay, when you're doing customer intelligence, you really do not want to know who the person is because that is privacy. All you want to know is the demographics or the attributes or the properties of the subject. Like for example, age group, gender, okay, location, and then maybe dia punya interest dia, hobby dia, for example. Okay, but you don't need to know Aminah binti Abu or Abu bin Ahmad. You don't need to know that. That is private. That's why when you take data, okay, anything other than medical data, for example like COVID, what you need to make sure is that you have it blinded. Blinded ni maksudnya you tak ambil dia punya IC number, you don't take dia punya nama. Okay, other things you take. Okay, but dia punya nama and dia punya IC, anything that can trace the person back, you know, the data back to the person, we don't want. Okay, so whenever, for example, in the future, you want to do for your thesis, okay, for your final year project, and you need some data, okay, always ensure that the subject, okay, tell them we are collecting blinded, okay, blinded. Explain to them what blinded means. It means that we don't want to know your name or your IC or your birth date. Okay, we just want to know you punya year of birth because we want to know your age group because it changes from year to year, right? So we may need the punya year lah, tahun bila, tahun 75, tahun 80. So maybe you want to do something on generation, millennials, Gen Y, Gen X. Okay, so you need the year, but you don't need specifically the birth date. Alright, and you don't need to get the punya IC number, KWSP number, income tax number, or even the punya own name, full name. We don't need that. Okay, so it will be anonymous. Okay, not unanimous. Unanimous is maksudnya sebulat suara, right? But this is anonymous, meaning that we don't know the person. So privacy is upheld. Okay, alright. So any questions? Are you all clear of the cycle that you will have to do when you graduate and become data scientists? Any questions? Okay. Girls, Kami? Anything that you want to get confirmation about your understanding? Yes, okay. To accurately ask the right questions. You know, you need experience. Okay, so you need to start thinking and watch YouTube videos. Okay, and also, from now on, start thinking as a data scientist. You know, if you are at a traffic light and there's a traffic jam, you know, you start thinking, you know, what is the underlying business problem? What is the data that you can collect, you know, to solve this traffic jam problem? Okay, what kind of model and then what is the metrics or evaluation measurement that you can do? Start thinking as data scientists from now on, you know, so you need to practice, you know, thinking is like muscle. You know, you have to angkat the dumbbell again and again and again to build muscle, right? So you have the thinking muscle. Thinking is also like muscle. If you keep on thinking the same way, you know, working, you know, eventually you're going to, it's like second nature. You tengok je dah tahu, okay, this is data required, this is the data, where can I get it, you know. It'll be just like habit. Okay, routine makes habit. So make a routine to start thinking as a data scientist. Okay, anything else? Okay, all right. So remember, you're going to be the next Chief Data Analyst Officer in Malaysia. Okay, okay. So hone your skills toward that. Start thinking like a, you know, like a data scientist and a CDO. Okay, so it's already 5:45. All right, next week we'll continue with data preparation, okay, because this one should cover business understanding and data understanding, okay. So next week we'll do data preparation. So please have your rapid miners ready, okay, with the academic license so that we can do some hands-on. I'll try to see if my data is quite okay, or I can give you the videos at my YouTube channel. Okay, have a look at my YouTube channel beforehand. You know, study it. This is my YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos that I made for you know, using templates in RapidMiner. It's really easy. You just need to drag and drop, but need to understand each and one of the operators. Okay. All right. So have a good evening. So it's almost 6. Then not dinner time. Have a good dinner. Okay, and stay safe. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, Doctor.